The Courage to Lead, episode 84. Hey, Coach Harlan here. Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you guys are having a great week. I'm having a great week, and I'm excited to introduce you to my guest today. Please help me welcome Millen Livis. Millen is an international holistic financial independence mentor, a best-selling author, investor, and entrepreneur. She's a graduate of the acclaimed Wharton Business School, holder of a master's degree in physics, a certified NLP practitioner, and certified instant miracle energy healer. Millen combines her traditional and holistic education to help career-driven women become financially independent or retire early, so that they work because they want to, not because they have to, and can enjoy more freedom in their lives without having to worry about money. She does that by using her Millionaire Method, her time-tested holistic system for creating financial independence. And Millen truly lives her message. She is and has been financially independent for over 11 years, lives in resort-like locations, part-time in the south of France and the other in South Florida. She guides and supports her clients from all over the world. Millen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Harlan. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and to your listeners.
Absolutely. This is great. And you are coming to us from the south of France, right?
At the moment, yes.
That is awesome. Very, very cool. Well, I want to talk about your background, how you got started, all the things you do, and how you help women find their financial independence. Definitely want to talk about everything. But before we get started, I have 10 questions that I like to ask all of my guests. Listeners will know these are the questions made famous on the television show Inside the Actors Studio, where host James Lipton asks these questions of his Hollywood guests from TV, film, and stage. And I figure if they're good enough for the Hollywood elite, they're certainly good enough for my guests. So Millen, if you're ready, I have 10 questions for you. Question number 1, what is your favorite word?
Power.
Power. What is your least?
Power or powerful.
Okay. And what is your least favorite word?
Need.
What turns you on?
Joy, beauty, music.
Nice. What turns you off?
Opinionated people.
What sound or noise do you love?
Ocean.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Drill. When we have renovation, it's not easy.
All right. Question 7. What is your favorite curse word?
In general, I don't curse, but if I have to find one, it would be WTF.
Okay. That seems to be a popular one. So, all right. Question 8. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
It's an interesting question. Can I mention several? Because
Sure.
I used to want, when I was young, I wanted to be a physicist. Then I wanted to be an astronaut. Then I wanted to be a doctor. And now, then I wanted to be a psychologist and then business owner. And I kind of married all of this interests. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe some kind of alternative doctor, like functional practicing functional medicine, something like that, because I really like to help people, but not with traditional kind of very narrow-minded ways and medications. So.
Okay, great. What profession would you not like to do?
Be in politics.
Okay. I'm with you on that one. Okay. And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Welcome.
Welcome. Excellent. All right, Millen, we're going to come back in just a minute. We're going to talk about your background, how you got started, how you found your financial freedom, and how you help women find theirs. All right. So we'll be back right after this. So listeners, stick with us. And we are back with my guest, Millen Livis. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. I've been looking forward to our conversation. So tell us, how did you get started? First of all, you were not born here in the country. Where did you start off and how did you come here?
Well, I came to the United States over 30 years ago from the former Soviet Union. Now it's a separate country, it's Lithuania, but it used to be part of Soviet Union.
Okay.
And basically, I experienced discrimination, extreme inequality, lack of equal opportunities. And I didn't want myself or my daughter to grow up in this totalitarian system. So I realized that I'm very much freedom driven. I don't like to hide my my opinions, my views. I respect other people's views and opinions, but I also don't like to be afraid to speak up. And I think I mentioned that I don't like opinionated people because we all have opinions. So if we want to live in harmony in general with each other, we have to be tolerant to differences of opinion. And as you can imagine, in communist Soviet Union, that was not possible. Yeah. So I basically felt that if I don't find a way to leave the country, which was not easy, then I probably will end up in KGB or something like that. So that's basically, it was my very strong desire. I was the leader in this decision because my then husband and his parents didn't want to, they were afraid to leave, but I decided. And my mother-in-law said, only after my dead body, I said, I cannot wait that long. And so we left without them.
Wow. Wow. And so you came to the US. Did you know anybody here in the United States?
Yes, we had some relatives here, but, they were also relatively new immigrants. So the beginning was very, very tough. We were on welfare, I think, for about 6 months. We were professionally trained. Like I had a degree in physics. I had experience as a computer developer, but software developer, sorry. And but I didn't speak the language. So who cares what you know and what you can do if you cannot communicate? So I started as a florist assistant.
Okay. And
it was minimum wage. I remember it was $4.50 per hour. Wow. That's how I started. And we were saving money to buy a used cars so we could go on interviews to get professional job. And I also was working at the hospital, like as a volunteer, just helping them with their systems. And I was raising a daughter, and I was doing basically everything I had to do at home. And I have to tell you that some of our friends about our age, women chose to just stay home and basically just take it easy and take care of the kids.
Right.
I guess I'm very driven and very ambitious because I said I can do it all. Sometimes I have this syndrome like I'm a superwoman, I can do it all. So I was raising. My daughter was 8 years old at that time, so I would prepare everything for her. So she would not need to cook, etc. But it was a challenging time. But looking back, I'm like, I can't believe I was able to do that.
Wow. Well, I think moms in general are superheroes. They do seem to do everything and carry the baby and carry the groceries and work. And that's amazing. So a florist assistant. And then where did you go from there? What was your next job? Because I know you ended up on Wall Street.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, like I said, I didn't realize how ambitious I was until I noticed that I want to work on Wall Street because I wanted to learn how to invest in the stock market. Like I said, I have very wild variety of interest and learning how to invest in the stock market. I don't know why, but that was one of my interests. So it took me 1 year to self-teach English, and within 1 year I was hired as an IT consultant for Merrill Lynch. That was my first professional job. Okay. And from there I climbed the corporate ladder for years, became an executive. I was leading a team of data modelers. I work for American Express, Deutsche Bank, Bankers Trust, Morgan Stanley, major Wall Street companies. And at some point, I just felt that, you know what, I don't think I want to do it. It was actually, it's funny that I remember the moment I was sitting in my office looking at the screen, and suddenly this thought popped up. Do you see yourself doing what you do right now for the next 10, 20 years? And I was like, no. So I started looking for exit. And my search was weird because I was considering fashion design because I like fashion design. My sister was a fashion designer. So I went to Italy. I took time off from work during my vacation. I went to Italy with a friend who was fashion designer. She wanted to create business partnership. Didn't feel right. Like we came back, okay, but it's like I was looking for something that will really land on me. I was considering starting computer school because my friend was successful at this business. So I was kind of like a loss, but I was trying to find something that will make sense to me, like will give me some meaning in my work, because I lost this. It's like I learned how to invest in the stock market. I was making a nice six-figure salary, but I was not really content with what I was experiencing in my life. And coincidentally, my marriage was falling apart. It's been quite a long time since we realized that it was not really working, because he was building his own company and working full time. So basically he was like absentee husband and father. And I was lonely. So at some point I said, you don't have that much time to waste. So my first move was I decided to, when my daughter went to college, I decided to walk out of my marriage. And that was very, very hard decision because we've been together for 23 years.
Wow.
And my family was absolutely against this decision. And the reason was like, she doesn't beat you up. She's not a drinker. Like, she's a good provider. What are you looking for? Like, they really could not connect to how I felt and my goals, etc. So anyway, so I rented a small apartment in Hoboken, New Jersey, very run down, because I, at that time I already had intention to go to business school. But, I was in my early 40s. I was concerned that, maybe with my accent or because of my age, I will not be accepted. So just in case, I applied to 5 best business schools I could find. And to my surprise, I was accepted to all of them.
Nice.
And of course, I had to choose the most expensive and the most prestigious. So that's how I ended up going to Wharton. And frankly, it was one of my managers who said, he was a Wharton graduate. He said, Millen, why don't you get a really good education in this country? So that's how I ended up in Wharton Business School.
Wow.
But the thing is that I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted. So I knew that, and that's, by the way, it's very common, I think, for a lot of people. I knew what I didn't want, but I was not clear what's my next step is. That's why I shared with you that I was considering fashion design, I was considering computer school, you name it. Okay. So I went to the Wharton Business School without a clear intention. And when I graduated, I still wasn't sure, because everybody expected that I will go back to corporate. But I knew that it's not what I wanted. Yeah. And it was a moment in my life when I basically said, like, what do you really want? Like, you trying this and that, but what is important for you? What is your core value? And it was clear and loud: freedom.
Nice.
And then it was like, freedom, but how? And what came up was, you have to be financially independent. I didn't want to be with any person or who I will be just because I was afraid to be on my own. I didn't want to work for the boss just because I was afraid that I cannot find another job. Right. And I didn't want to be dependent on any government assistance, because I experienced that. Mm-hmm. I experienced the feeling that you really cannot be your own person, that you're dependent on all this, government entities. So I really wanted to create something, and that was very clear. So then next question was, okay, you want to be financially independent, how? And the answer was, have to create multiple sources of income. Nice. And even though I already knew how to invest in the stock market, it was clearly not enough. So that's when I came up to the idea that I want to have a real estate investment company. I want to be a real estate investor. So I started the company. I hired the team. I was very fortunate to get business partners. So I was like an active manager, active partner, so we started investing, and everything was really great until 2008, and yes, that's when everything started to falling apart, and that was a very tough time in my life. Now I call it divine crisis, but it was probably the darkest night of my soul, because my business partners wanted to sell properties. We were upside down. We couldn't sell. Wow. And I had to let go of my team. I was running out of money. It was a moment when I had problem paying my rent. And I felt devastated. I felt ashamed. I felt a complete failure, to the point that, it's almost like felt that failure was written on my forehead. Wow. And I started avoiding people. I would avoid meeting my classmates, didn't want to talk to anyone. So I was going down the downward spiral very, very quickly. And I never was depressed before, so I wasn't really clear what was happening with me. And I was very alone, because after my decision to leave my husband, basically everybody took his side, because it was my decision. Wow. And so that's when, like I said, it was very challenging time. And then one day I was driving to see my real estate client, and it was very really pouring rain, and I got into a car accident, and I injured my neck, and I didn't have health insurance. Wow. So I was financially broke. I was emotionally broken. Wow. And I was in extreme physical pain, because, like I said, I couldn't see doctors. I didn't have any insurance, and financially it was hard for me. So that's when I said, well, what's the point to continue? And it was Valentine's Day, 2008. I only started sharing this recently, because it was really kind of challenging for me to share this experience. But there is a happy ending to this. So that's why I want to share, because some people may be going through something like that. Like for me, it was this emotional turmoil was pretty much caused by the failure in my investment business. For someone else, it could be maybe divorce or healthcare or something like that, or financial catastrophe. But I just want to tell you that failure is not a person. Right. You remember I was saying, I am such a failure. That failure, besides the fact that it's a feedback, it's also basically experience that has a beginning and the end. Yeah. And at that moment, I didn't really think that way. So what happened, one day I was walking on the street, I met my neighbor who I didn't talk for a while, and she just started asking me questions, and I think she noticed something about maybe my voice, my demeanor, I don't know. And she said, I want you to talk to this person. So it was a life coach, and he called me and we started talking. And by the way, that was him who said, stop saying such a failure.
Yeah.
He said, failure is not a person. Failure is an experience, and it has the beginning and the end. Right. And I was like, really? It can end? He said, absolutely. And it all starts not the outside of you, but inside of you. So, and that's when my kind of, by the way, he said, I think you should work with me. And I was like, I can't afford you. He said, oh, my darling, you cannot afford not to work with me. And he was right.
Wow.
Basically, this decision, the decision to that I made to work with him was not based on what I could afford at this time, but it was based on where I want to be, how I want to evolve from this very, very low place in my journey. So from there, I started feeling better. I started sleeping and eating because I was not sleeping. I was not eating.
Wow.
And I started feeling better, and I started be functional again, made some really good investments, and my business partners wanted to invest with me again. And within a few years from that time, I became financially independent. You see, financial independence is not quite the same as saying, I just want to be wealthy. Like, because I don't know, wealthy for some people is to have 2 planes, 3 helicopters, and a couple of yachts. Right? For me, it was very clear. I just wanted to know that I can create multiple sources of income with multiple streams of income, so that I can eventually make them passive. So I will work because I choose to, not because I have to. That was my goal. So I actually determined, I estimated my what I now call financial freedom number. And I said, that's the number I have to hit. So all my actions from this point were aligned with this goal. And you know what? When you have a very clear, I call it means goal, because my means goal was to be financially independent, to be able to pay my bills, to be able to do the work that I want to do, etc. That's means goal. But my end goal was to have a joy in my heart, because I knew how it feels not to have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so basically that's how I kind of evolved from, like I said, being financially broken, emotionally broken, to being financially independent. And when it happened, at some point I decided that I'm location independent. What am I doing in New Jersey? And I always wanted to, one of my dreams, which what is interesting, that I remember that someone said, you have to draw your dream. It's not enough just to have a vision board, because you have to connect your body through writing to your mind. So I'm horrible artist. I'm like, I probably draw at the level of 5th grade or something like that. But I remember having this drawing where I'm walking on the beach when I'm playing tennis, and it's sunny, and I hear the ocean waves, etc. So I remember drawing that. And guess what? That's where I live now in Florida. I live 3 minutes walk to the beach.
Wow.
And before my second car accident, I was playing tennis, I was biking, I was walking on the beach every morning, etc. So I actually created this. I manifested this. So we are so powerful. You remember you asked me about your favorite word. We are so powerful, but we don't always aware of this power. And in this kind of autopilot life that we live, many of us live, we don't realize that we can use this power if we know how, and if we're aware of this.
Yeah, I tell my clients all the time, when you were a child, if you didn't want to go to school, you would talk yourself into having a stomach ache. You would talk yourself into feeling sick, and you would actually probably be sick, so you didn't have to go to school. Why not turn that around and think about what you really want your life to be like, and then create that? because we do have that
It's
power.
funny. Yeah, it's amazing how we're wired to focus on what is not working in our lives. We're wired to focus on problems, on challenges, on what is lacking, and we expect that somehow miraculously we will experience the other side. And it's actually the way it works is that you have to appreciate what you have, and you have to focus on what works in your life and what elements of abundance and magic you actually experience in your life now. And that's how you eventually will create financial abundance and love abundance and all of these beautiful, beautiful things that we are capable of creating. And I just, if common woman like me, and I shared with you everything, like I basically was English impaired, minimum wage florist assistant who rise to be a Wall Street executive, who went to Wharton Business School, who published 2 best-selling books, who now works with women all over the world and became financially independent and teaches others to do that. It's anything is possible. And I believe that we all have this capacity to be financially independent, to create to manifest the goals that we have. It doesn't mean that everybody will manifest these goals. Like, we all have capacity to be parents, but not everybody has to be a parent, and not everybody will be a parent. Right. But we all have this capacity. And the same with your ability to become financially independent, live your life on your terms, live in the locations where you want to live. Just imagine from the place where I used to be, as I shared with you today, to look at my life now, it's like, sometimes it's like, how is it possible? I created this and I didn't receive anything from anyone. Like, I didn't get heritage from anyone. I didn't marry wealthy people. So I built a beautiful villa in France because it was very, very rundown. Nobody would buy it. We bought it at a very inexpensive price. And we renovated ourselves because we didn't have money. So I think the drive, the very strong passion for your goal, it has to be something that's worth your time, worth your energy. And here I am, living in literally resort-like locations and doing the work that I really, really enjoy and feel fulfilled by.
Sure. Helping women, helping other people to achieve their financial freedom, right? Tell me about your program. Tell me about the Millionaire Method.
So Millionaire Method was born by reverse engineering what happened, what I did in my life. How the hell I could really, from the lowest place in my life, how could I reverse this and become financially independent? So I came up with this 4, I call them pillars or quadrants, pillars, like a table. Table, in order to be stable, has to have 4 legs. So the first leg is you have to develop wealth mindset, because unfortunately, a lot of people, especially in the US, have a consumer mindset.
Yes.
So it's very different approach, very different mentality. So I have a program where we work on that. And then the second leg or pillar is you have to know how to manage your money intentionally. You have to be very confident and intentional money manager. And I have a program about this. That's where we talk about what I call money mechanics, how to track your cash flow, how to deal with budgets that don't feel restricted to you, because you don't want to have allergy. Like, a lot of people have allergy toward diet, and many people have allergy toward budget.
Yes.
So I'm working with people natural inclinations to find something that will work for them. Right? It's not a cookie cutter. So we also calculate financial freedom number. Like I shared with you, I decided that if I hit this number in passive income, initially it was active income, but then it became passive.
Nice.
Then I'm done. So when you have a very clear aim that you want to accomplish, somehow your mind starts, it's like almost, what is it? You have the target and your mind starts thinking and finding ways to achieve this target. That's why it's very important, not just to be very general in terms of, I just want to have $1 million. And, it's not that. And that's why I emphasize that I help people become financially independent. If they want more money from that, that's their choice. But I think that for everyone to feel that you work because you want to, not because you have to,
Yes.
that's the element of freedom that I want everyone to experience. And from there, if you want to make more and have 2 helicopters and a couple of yachts, that's up to you. But that's a different end goal for me, to feel confident. For, like I always say, that confidence is the best perfume the best French perfume anyone can wear, because it's you exude this, you emit this energy that people feel that you are authentic, that you are clear,
Nice.
etc. Right? So anyway, so that was my second pillar. The third pillar or leg of the stable table is that you have to grow your wealth. So by being intentional and really savvy money manager, you will save some money, but you don't save money for the sake of keeping them in a mattress or in a bank that pay you negative yield in many countries right now, right? So you have savings. I always say savings are seeds of your wealth, but you have to plant the seeds, right? If you don't plant them, they will not grow. So for me, the third pillar is what I call fertilizer for your wealth, which is strategic investing.
Okay.
And I emphasize investing. It's not the trading. It's not the day trading. It's not Forex. It has to be strategic investing. So you know why you're buying this asset, what kind of income you will receive from this asset. And I always say that, like the way I do it, because I'm an active investor, I have a mix of growth assets and income producing assets.
Nice.
Because sometimes it's boring to have only utilities that pay dividend and things like that, or having rental income. But it's important because it's a very stable, kind of reliable income. But you also want to, like if you do your research, you also want to invest in companies, for example, that you want to support because you want to support their cause. They want to support the values that they have. So I invest in public companies. I invest in privately held companies, stock market. I invest in real estate. I'm very diversified, and that's what I teach. So I have investment courses, investing courses, I should say. Stock market investing, I called it Grow Wealth with Stock Market Investing. I have a course for strategic investing in real estate. I also invest in cryptocurrencies. But again, I don't invest just on hot tips.
Right.
I have an overall kind of vision and strategy, because I don't want to lose sleep over, stock market. Not like recently we had a big drop in the stock market. I'm okay with this because I know that it's not, the biggest chunk. I never invest a big portion of my overall assets into one particular position, right? So you have to so there are ways to manage your risk, and that's what I teach, how to manage your risk. And I always emphasize that if you want to sleep well at night, make sure that you know how to invest strategically.
Nice.
So that was my third pillar. Sorry, it's a little bit. I as you can see, I'm excited about this stuff.
No, absolutely.
So and the final fourth pillar or fourth leg is what I call spiritual amplifier, because when you know that you're not alone, that there is a high intelligence, sometimes I call it intelligent love or loving intelligence. When you know that you can do anything. And I teach my clients to reconnect to the power that they have within and leverage this power. So one of my conditions, if they want to work with me, is that they must be willing or open to meditate, because we meditate, we do all kinds of mindfulness rituals, in addition to very, very practical, very kind of down-to-earth skill sets that they need to have. Because I think it's important that we find a balance between left brain, very logical, very kind of organized, right brain that is more creative. Some people have inclination to be more creative than logical, others vice versa. But you can develop certain skills, even if you're very creative, you can develop certain skills that allow you to guide your creativity in a very productive way. Because I have a lot of clients who are energy healers or artists, and they just for them money is like it's a boring thing, and I help them to turn this around. And I was like, no, it's fun. Money doesn't have meaning. It's the meaning that you give it.
Right.
And so anyway, that's my 4 pillars. And I really encourage people who listening us today, just contemplate on this, because it has to be a mix of very practical, down to earth skill sets that you can learn, and also really this amazing awareness that many people still don't have. It's getting better, but awareness of our power.
Yeah. And
what I shared with you, how I was able to turn my life around. And something that you said at the beginning, like, how could you have a courage to leave your marriage? Where did you find courage to leave your country, to leave your marriage, to leave your career? It was so comfortable. And like, I don't remember being scared. Like, this is something about me that I really want to share with people. If you have a dream, it means that it's meant for you to experience that. And instead of thinking that this is somewhere far away from where you are, that it's maybe possible for someone else, but not for you, develop some practices that will help you to normalize this dream. It's not something extraordinary. If it's something that you want, make it normal for you. Make it normal to make whatever amount, 10, 20,000 a month that you want to make. Normalize it. Yeah. Don't think that it's something like absolutely out of your reach, because it's up to you to decide what is within your reach. And I love this expression that you can see without what you have within. So that's where it all starts.
Nice. And I imagine, like you said, learning how to budget, learning how to use money and use the finances is a portion of it. But I think the mindset is overcoming that mindset, I think, is a lot bigger part of what you do, isn't it?
I think it's a foundation, it's really foundation, because everything is a matter of your perception. If you have a small apartment in Brooklyn, if you're an immigrant, and I'm talking obviously about my life, and you experience some challenges because you don't speak the language in a new country, and you have a young child and you have to work 3 jobs, etc. Someone will say, "Oh my God, it's so hard," and you're very poor. From the very beginning, somehow, I don't know how, but I always felt very grateful. So I would always see like, oh my God, we actually live in a free country. Oh my God, my daughter, we have food on the table. We can find a job. We can buy a car, etc., etc. So I would always find something that I was grateful for, that was working in our life. And obviously, like everybody else, we had a lot of challenges, but I was not, somehow I was able not to focus on that. I was always like giving my energy to what I wanted to expand.
Nice.
And at this time, I didn't know about personal development or coaches. It's just, I think it's intuition. And I really rely on my intuition a lot. My intuition saved my life because I resigned from my corporate job beginning of June 2001. And I was working in World Trade Center. So
Wow.
I would be there on 9/11, but instead I was seeing this unfolding life across the river in Hoboken.
Wow.
Because, they said you cannot do, because I was hoping that I will be working part-time and go to the Wharton Business School. At the last moment, they said you have to choose. And that's when I connected to my intuition. That's why I'm saying it's so powerful. And I said, no, I made the decision. Now I have to make this decision right. And I resigned. And that saved my life.
Wow. Wow. That is awesome. So I think you're right. People would have seen all of those things. I'm broke. I'm in a country. I don't speak the language. They would see all those as barriers and just stop. And you saw through those barriers because you had that vision. That's great. And now you help women find the same vision in themselves, right?
Yes. And I'm sharing my story. I'm sharing this as is, because I know that it would inspire many of your listeners to see that if someone who started, had a very, very humble beginning, could create a life that really remarkable in many ways. And I'm not talking only about material possessions, but overall experience that I have right now, then why not you?
Absolutely. That is a great message. Absolutely. So what's next? You've done so much. Wall Street, your degrees, the MBA from Wharton, 2 books. What's next for you?
That's a good question, actually. If you ask my husband, because this is my second marriage, if you ask him, he said, like, I'm waiting for you to retire so we will travel more. Because right now we travel. We went to, I think, just before COVID, we went to Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong. I don't remember, several countries. Nice. And but I always travel with my laptop because I have clients and I always kind of like I'm writing something, I'm creating something. So right now I'm working on a new program. I called it Awaken Money Mastery.
Nice.
That will help women to develop wealth mindset and to become financially savvy. So that's my new baby that I'm planning to launch in October.
Great.
So I'm very excited about that. And so I'm creating the free trainings and free masterclass and all of this stuff. So I'm in a full creation mode at the moment.
Excellent.
And and so what's next? I don't know. I play by ear and I just like to be in the flow.
Absolutely. Well, whatever you do, it's going to be amazing. So exclusively women, or do you work with men also?
Private. If it's a private client, I can work with men.
Okay.
But I don't allow, I hate how it sounds. I don't allow men into my group programs because, and let me tell you why, because men and women have very different drivers for creating wealth, for making money, for growing money. And I asked my ladies many times, because I have a group called Wealth Building for Powerful Women. And I asked them, can we convert this to be more inclusive and to have men in the group? And they said, no, because we don't feel that, it's the same emotional connection and the reasons for concerns, because for women, it's security is very important.
Absolutely.
And for men, it's more kind of like a prestige and a sense of accomplishment, etc.
And a competition. A lot of times men make it a competition. Yes.
Yes. So private clients, men private clients, yes. Group programs, not yet. Okay. But maybe at some point.
Okay. All right. Millen, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that? What is your website?
So my website is daretochange.life.com. That's the name of my business, daretochange.life.com,
Okay.
DARE, but you probably will post
Yes, I will post it.
link.
Yep.
But I want to offer a very, very valuable gift to your audience.
Great.
I like to offer what I call consultation, that I call Never Worry About Money Again.
Okay.
It's a time together. It's about 30 minutes that we will spend together to see where you're right now, where you want to be, and how we can find the shortest path from here and now to where you want to be.
Great.
Because I like to map this kind of journey for people, and it depends where they are now and what they're looking for. The options how to get there would be different. And because it's not a cookie cutter, I like to do it personally. So I offer this consultation. And again, it's called Never Worry About Money Again. Okay. And to schedule this call, you can go to speakwithmillen.com.
Okay.
Speak with Millen, L.com. And you can schedule your complimentary consultation, and we will together determine what is your fastest, easiest, shortest path to financial independence, or whatever. Maybe you have different goals financial goals at this point.
Excellent. Very nice. Very generous. Thank you so much for that. And then your books, are your books available on your website, or are they available on Amazon?
My books are available on Amazon. Yes. Okay. And so one of them called A Shift Toward Purpose, Secrets of an Amazing Career. The second book is called A Shift Toward Abundance, Secrets to Financial Freedom.
Nice.
And so that's basically, the first one is my journey from being very, very corporate, kind of like a logical, very formal corporate employee, to becoming entrepreneur, to becoming very rooted in spiritual principles. And so that's a very interesting personal journey book about that. And I heard from people that it's very inspiring, and they see that they can also dare and change their lives. And the second book is more about duality of money and wealth. So I talk about how important to perceive exchange of money as exchange of energy, exchange of value, as well as some practical. I'm very kind of mix of woo-woo and practical skill sets. So I talk about how to invest in the stock market, what assets you can obtain on the stock market, etc. So that's the second book.
Very good. Well, I will have links to those books also in the show notes for the show. And I appreciate it so much. Thank you for being a guest on the show.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. Absolutely. And listeners, hope you guys were taking lots of notes because there's a lot of good takeaways from this. Definitely check out her website, learn more about Millen and the books. All those links will be in the show notes. And that's it for me. If you enjoy this episode, make sure you share it with your family, friends, and colleagues, and stick around because there's always more coming. That's it for me, Coach Harlan, saying so long for now.